Good to see everyone after a week off. Excited to be back in the game week and looking forward to getting back on the practice field. We got 4 practices in last week, a couple extra lifts, tried to utilize it as much as we could for our younger players, called it Bison week, trying to put the emphasis back on ourselves, improving alignment, assignment, communication, technique. Those 4 areas are going to be critical for us as we move into conference play, making sure we're as healthy as we can, and looking forward to, like I said, getting back on the practice field. I know we have, from talking to our leadership group, we have a bunch of excited players chomping at the bit to get ready and prepare for what's going to be a tough game on the road. It'll be a fun one. With that, I'm going to open it up to questions.
Coach, you guys as a program are notoriously good off of bye weeks. Kind of, how do you guys approach the bye weeks, and kind of what do you think explains that success coming off of them?
Part of it is we don't take the bye weeks off. Last week we were practicing 20 to 22 periods. We were out there for over 2 hours. You saw a lot of our guys staying afterwards, working on maybe particular techniques or fundamentals that they need to continue to improve on. Our meeting time didn't slack off either, and then we continued to push them in the weight room. Coach Kramer had our dress group lift 3 times. We ran on Friday just to continue to push the envelope, make sure that we're in as good a shape, football shape, as we can be as we move into the next 8 weeks. And I feel like just being detail-oriented, knock on wood, I say that now, but I think that's one of the things that we stress to our kids, stress to our staff, and one of the reasons why we've been so successful after bye weeks.
How beneficial do you think it is for you guys to have this bye week, right before your opening conference play? How beneficial do you think that is?
Well, I think it's after 3 games. I think it's just after three games. Doesn't matter whose the 4th game is. I think it is beneficial to have it after you have a decent population, kind of where you're at, what your depth looks like. Hopefully you've been able to hold off any injuries. But you are now going into 8 straight weeks. And so I do think the timing worked out well for us. I think anytime you can have a bye week, late September, early October would probably be the max, because otherwise you want to kind of get in that routine and get going. And that's always the concern, is that you've broken routine and now you got to get back into it. But I think we have a veteran enough group that we should be okay.
The first time this program has been to Grand Forks since 2003. It's a big deal to a lot of people around here. How do you kind of marry that with still just treating it like any other road game?
One, I'm probably not going to acknowledge anything like that you said just there in that statement. We're going to talk about it just being it is a big game because it's the only one we have this week. We're going to continue to prepare just our normal way that we do it. They are a really good football team, so, they're reigning conference champs, so we're going to have to be ready to go. And they got a ton of playmakers offensively. Defensively, they fly around, and probably going to cause some issues at different times just because of the amount of pressure that they want to bring out of their 3-4.
Now the familiarity of the spring, does that help? Now you only played them 6 months ago, and now you're going to set to play them again. That doesn't happen any other time.
No, but, we've played them now a couple years in a row. I'm sure there's still consistent familiarity from year to year when we play other teams in the league. I don't know if playing them in the spring has necessarily a huge impact in what we're going to prepare for. We're looking at the last couple games that we've played them. We're looking at the number of games that they played in 19, the games that they've played in spring of 21, trying to get a good sample size for how they're going to defend us, what they're going to try to do offensively. We look at their personnel. Like I said, they do have some newer faces that we did not play in the spring up front on the offensive line, but I think they've done a great job of getting that group to gel together. They have, an All-American running back. They got a freshman All-American wide receiver. I think Garrett Moggs, a really good wide receiver. Big X. They're going to throw back shoulder throws to him. I think their quarterback does a great job. He hasn't been sacked twice all year. Very little pressure on him. He delivers the ball. He can throw the deep one. He can make that back shoulder throw. So there's a lot of things we have to continue to prepare for. But regardless if we played him in the spring or not, what you see on film is what you're going to get.
Otis and what he brings to the table after seeing him play in March.
Big physical back, can get downhill on you. You're going to have to get a whole bunch of people to the party when you're going to tackle him. I don't think he's a a one-on-one tackle type situation. We need to make sure that we're making some plays up front, getting some D linemen hopefully to the party a little bit, because he's a physical runner, and you get him going, it looks like as the game goes on, he just gets stronger and stronger, and he has good speed too. We saw that in the spring, and so he's a weapon. But I think number 7, I'm going to probably Skokina. Really good football player as well. So they got a 1-2 punch back there that is really effective in running the game in the run game. But they also get both those guys involved in the pass game a little bit as well.
What's Spencer's status?
He's going to be out. He's injured. Won't be back this season.
Detail on his injury and knee?
Yep. Yep.
He would apply for a red shirt or a.
He has one still. He has another year.
Okay.
For COVID.
COVID year.
So, we anticipate him being back, and hopefully, knock on wood, he'll be cleared in June and ready to go in fall of 22.
Make up for his departure. What do you have to do?
Well, we're going to have to, find someone who can come in and help us be productive. And right now we need a guy like LaShaka Rokes to hurry up and grow up. One of the benefits of having the spring is he did get to play some games for us. Jake Cava, a young man coming off an ACL, who moved from linebacker to defensive end, I think can continue to help us. We're going to need Tony Pierce. We're going to need Brain Thomas to continue to be impact players for us. Probably the one player that we have the ability maybe to move around a little bit is Will Mostart. Will played defensive end for us in the spring, has played some D tackle, probably has some flexibility with him. And so I think you'll see us try to find the right combination as we move forward in the conference season.
Is you're going to play this week?
As far as I'm concerned, last time I checked, he is.
Difference you've seen with UND from the last time you played them to now?
Say that one more
The
time.
biggest difference you've seen with UND from now, from when you played them last time?
I think they continue to get better. And, I think you just that experience that they probably had throughout the spring, freshman quarterback, not really a freshman anymore, even though he might be, one on the roster. He's played a whole season. He does a great job with the football. He's being accurate. They're efficient. They have big play capabilities offensively, defensively. They get to the football. And Coach Alenka does an outstanding job of scheming people, bringing pressure, getting TFLs, getting you off, behind the chains and keeping you there. And then I think they're just dynamic enough on special teams with the threat of some fakes here or there. They do some unique things. I think they're really well coached. And like I said, there's a reason why they're the conference champs.
Your noise thing in the dome on the offense now this week?
We started that for the Towson game, just going into uncharted waters, a place that we had never played before. We wanted, and with all the hype behind that game of being a bigger than normal crowd, we wanted to make sure that we were prepared for it. So it's something that we have already addressed. We'll continue to address it probably a number of periods throughout each practice this week.
Feel about special teams so far through the first 3 games, your own turn. I know you didn't have a great game at Towson. How do you evaluate where you guys are at through 3 games there?
Well, I'm anticipating you're saying that the special teams at Towson weren't good because of the one big return, and that was frustrating. I think we can clean that up, but we continue to see that our returners create big plays, and so we got to find ways to get the ball in their hand. As you know, and I know, teams are going to start kicking away from Christian Watson, going to start trying to kick away from some of our other returners that we have back there, no matter if it's Jaden Price or Braylon Henderson. But I think we've done a really good job. I think so far, minus the one big return that we've given up, I think we've done a pretty good job. There's been a couple penalties, of course, that you don't want to see, blocking the back early in the year that negated a punt return. But it's still going to be a huge emphasis. We're not going to stop trying to get better or stop improving. And especially being on the road, now that the conference mandates you can only have 64 players, we're going to have to hone in and make sure we have the right people in the right situations.
You defensively unique with the amount of pressure they bring out of the 3-4 and the different angles that they bring it from? Is it something that's different than other teams you play?
We've started to see a little bit more of that recently. Another team in our league that has done some things similar to that to us would be Illinois State. in a couple years back. They've done some things. So, it's what they do, and they do it to everybody. And so we'll have to do a really good job of trying to, pick some things up, especially protection-wise. They're gonna move the front. They're gonna bring pressure from not only the boundary but from the field. There's some internal pressures that they've shown as well. But they got good players out there. You see the same names that we've seen for the last 2 or 3 years, and they continue to get better. And it's going to be a huge challenge for us offensively and defensively.
Is that for Quincy? Is it because it's different? It's a different type of defense than you've seen in the first, especially Albany, say in Towson. So what does that do for him?
Well, he's got to do a great job of the mental prep and watching film and be able to see rotation out of safeties, alignments out of backers, things that maybe give away where the pressure or if there's pressure coming. But it's just as critical for our offensive linemen to be able to see demeanor of stances and is this player on or is he off? Is he dropping? We have to do a really good job of identifying that, making sure that we don't overload him with if it's this, it's that. If it's this, it could be something else, and making sure that we feel comfortable in our schemes that we're going to try to utilize from the run game and the pass game.
Same day, or what is the thought in going into travel to this game? Do you think about staying up there or not? Or?
Never thought about staying up there. We're going to drive up the day of. I mean, we stay in Bettendorf, Iowa to play Western Illinois, and that's a farther trip than this. Why would we need to stay up in Grand Forks?
Certain distance that is too much?
No, I just think part of it is there's the Eric Church concert the night before, and so all of a sudden we're going to be in a hotel that could have a number of interruptions. So we just felt like this might be a better, consistent. We're going to treat it much like a home game as far as our preparation goes, our meetings and all of those. Our itinerary, basically.
Sense, obviously, it's conference opener, just the attitude of a game, it's different because it's Missouri Valley football, and talking with your younger guys who either didn't play in the spring or guys who are going to play for the first time about Missouri Valley Conference football now?
Dom, I don't know if I necessarily have a great sense right now. We tried not to hype it up too much last week. It was all about ourselves. Now we'll start addressing more the opponent and what the next 8 weeks look like starting today. But our emphasis is going to be on going 1-0 this week and making sure that we hit everything we need to hit this week to put us in a situation to be successful.
There's a potential relatively large NDSU contingent at the Alair Center for you guys if, a lot of fans show up and make noise for you even on the road.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
How important for you guys as a road team, if there is a significant contingent of Bison fans that head north, how big can that be on the road when there's kind of a takeover?
Well, I think anytime we're on the road, I'll use the most recent road trip out to Baltimore to Towson, and the number of fans that were there. Our players recognize that. They hear the cheering and the chants from our fans, and so I think anytime our guys walk in and they see the green and yellow, they're going to be super excited to know that once again, Bison Nation, Bison fans are some of the best, most supportive. They travel as well as probably any other program in the country, and to make it 70 miles up north, it wouldn't be a shock that we have a large contingent there. And hopefully large enough they can make it a little bit unique on third down or when UND has the ball.
Comment just about the last few days of James Kaiser's life, about what happened for him over the weekend?
I tell you what, we have more stuff going on outside of football sometimes within our program, but I think that's one of the things that makes our program different. Our players will address it that way. We're just different. As many of you may or may not know, James got married on Saturday. Had the opportunity to go to the ceremony, spend time with his mother, with his family. All his siblings were there. It was a good day, and you could tell by the smile on his face and the cracks in his voice. He was super excited, but also awfully nervous at times. So I told him, make it a quick honeymoon. We got things to do on Monday.
Were you going to a player's wedding during the season?
Probably so. I can't remember any others off the top of my head, but that's okay. It was good. It was fun to see, and I know I'm getting on kind of a tangent here, the number of young players that came there. There was freshmen, there were redshirt freshmen, guys that don't necessarily hang out maybe with James' group, but they have that much respect for a guy like James Kaiser that what are you going to do on your Saturday off? Well, I'm going to make sure I get to James's wedding. And it was an outstanding event. Coaches, staff, players were there, and a lot of smiles, a lot of hugs, and I know he's excited, and I look forward to him. One less thing on his plate, I hope. And maybe now we can focus on the next opponent.
Cater the meal, or did he give you a pass on?
He gave us a pass. He gave us a pass on the meal.
With Cordell at guard, is that something that might ever be kind of a permanent switch, or is that still just a rotation thing?
I think it's just a rotational thing right now. Of course, as players continue to develop, it would be great to be able to have that flexibility or that ability to move him down if we needed to. I think if something were to happen at a guard, I think we always have that flexibility right now. But when we talk about getting our 5 best players out there, probably would include Cordell being at tackle.
Like you guys do better, or what do you do well when Cordell's at guard, and whether it's Jake or Mason at right tackle?
Well, I think sometimes it's not what we do well, it's what the opponent is giving us. And so I'm going to take a small sample size. In the spring, we were playing Illinois State, had the big Ridgeway kid who plays nose. And all of a sudden you saw late in that game when we needed to get into kind of a 4-minute mentality, Cordell went to guard. And all of a sudden some of the inside zones and some of those things, because we were able to get big on big in there. We got pretty strong guards right now. You include Nash, but you bring Cordell down there, we probably have 2 of the bigger guards in the country. And then you throw the athletic piece on both of them. I mean, Cordell's 6'6", 310 pounds, and moves pretty dang good, and same with Nash. And I think it's just based on what teams are trying to do to defend us, sometimes might be the answer of when we want to move him down there.